give Chris a introduction, a quick introduction, and then he can jump on. Chris, very good friend of mine, and he has a business, basically training people, training businesses how to get the best out of Instagram, how to grow an Instagram profile, and more importantly, how to do business on Instagram, how to monetize your platform. And obviously, a lot of the questions that came in from you guys today are in relation to obviously how to grow your followers, how to use hashtags, all those kind of things, which I'm sure Chris is going to talk lots and lots about that. But ultimately, what Chris is all about is the monetization aspect rather than the vanity aspect. In that, yes, it'd be lovely to have 1 million followers, but if you could achieve 1,000 followers who were the right followers, who want to do business with you, who want to give you their money, then that is a lot more beneficial to you, obviously, as a business owner, than having 1 million vanity followers. And some of you guys who follow me for a while will see that I do a lot of videos, a lot of interviews with celebrities, with influencers, with guys with massive profiles, 200,000, 500,000, 1 million followers. And I think the layperson always looks at these guys with whatever the word is. They look up to these guys as these are people who I want to have my Instagram profile like. These are the people I should learn from. But as a generalisation, I would say that those kind of people have got a fantastic Instagram following, not because they're great with Insta, not because they know the tricks and the tricks of the trade with Insta, but because they've walked off of Towie, or they've walked off of Love Island, or whatever it may be, and they've effectively been gifted those followers from day one, and they won't adhere to some of the Instagram best practices. They won't know all the tricks of the trade that Chris is going to tell you about. But believe me, if they did, then they'd be able to take those 1 million followers to 10 million followers. So everybody, no matter how big your following is, should very much listen to what Chris has got to say. Chris, if you're there, mate, jump on, so I don't have to do any more talking. I can drink some wine. James Redding, I've not recognised your name before, James, so thanks for joining in. James says that he works in construction and Instagram does nothing for my industry, but would love to know how it could be possible. Well, Chris is the man to help you with that, and I am sure he will tell you. Here he is, 1 second. I'm sure Chris will tell you that Instagram can be powerful for any industry. Press the right button on there. Where are you, Chris?
Hello, mate. How are you?
There you are. Let me get that right for me. There we go.
All good? I'm good, mate. How are you?
Good. You've got a much fuller hairline than me. You're making me jealous already.
Oh, mate, I need it cut. I don't know what I'm going to do in this lockdown with no hairdresser around, mate. I'm in a lot of trouble.
I was thinking about lockdown inventions today, and I was thinking I want someone to invent a pair of barber's clippers with a with a 2 meter, like a 2 meter handle on them, like a barge pole. So politically incorrect to breach social distancing. It could even put my hair outside. But literally, I've hit a new stage today where I can no longer push it forward. It just has to go back. So,
mate, it's looking on point, mate. I can't knock it whatsoever. It's serious hair products going on there, mate. You're testing me out, Jesus.
If only you were a hot blonde, I would be flattered. So I was just saying to some of the guys before you came on, I'm so glad I get to share the screen with someone tonight, because I call this wine time with Matt, where I like it. Here with my glass of wine and I do my chat. But because normally when I'm talking on my own, I just talk for the whole thing. I don't get to drink any wine. So
I'm literally like day 11 on 75 hard. So trying to no alcohol is actually quite difficult at the moment. It's not easy.
Well, listen, let's get into this. because I've had loads of really good questions from people today, and obviously quite a lot of people are already jumping on with some questions now. I've given a bit of an introduction to yourself. I mean, you probably want to do another 30 seconds on that and just explain what qualifies you to be here and to know what you know. And then I guess the first place to start with this for me is at the very beginning, and a lot of people have been saying, how do I start? How do I build trust when I'm an unknown brand, when I've got no following on Insta at all, when I don't even have an offline brand, and how do I do my first post? How do I get my first follower? So
yeah, no, that's cool. No problem at all. So for those of you that have not followed me before, seen any of my content before, or seen my journey at all. In terms of your question there and how do you actually get started, I mean, the only real way that I know how to actually help people get really going on this platform and any other platform really, Instagram's what I'm known for, but we use all different types of social media to try and generate traffic for all the different businesses that I'm a part of. But for me, like the main thing really was rewinding it back, I guess 2 years ago is when I first started a business. So I'm still pretty new. And I just made the conscious decision to document my whole journey online. So you can actually rewind back, scroll down and load all my different bits of content on my profile, and you'll see me start my Airbnb journey. So serviced accommodation, we were in property, and we didn't really know what we were doing at the time with social media at all, but we knew that if we just made enough people aware of what we did, there was always going to be opportunity to be able to make use of that traffic at a later period. And to be fair, to roll a long story quite short, I went from a 400 person following who were kind of like friends of family sort of thing, to 10,000 followers within like 3.5 months. And that was literally just talking about property. Now, there's loads of different things that you can do to grow an account or to actually generate traffic onto your profile. But really, the only thing that we used it to do was to network. And that was just to connect with as many people as we possibly could. For two reasons. One, to try and get ourselves known, because when you first start in any industry, you'll know it when you started a business. It's hard to gain the credibility for people to want to work with you. And in property, we needed finance. We needed money to be able to get going. We needed people to invest in the deals that we were working on. And I had a bit of a feeling that if I just told enough people what we did, that we would be able to position ourselves as a true authority in what we did, because no one else was doing it. And now when I'm kind of working with influencers, business owners, even just people that want to grow their account in general, all we're really trying to do is position themselves as the authority in whatever it is, whatever industry, whatever niche they decide to be in. Because for me, I'm yet to find, I know James mentioned earlier, so James Redding is a friend of mine. I play cricket with him, so he's probably just trolling me putting that on there. But actually, he's followed me for a little while and seen my whole journey. And
if that's
it doesn't matter.
Then I feel very jealous of you.
No, I don't get much trolling. I don't get much hate. Yeah, I get a few spammy messages come through, but I guess we literally just come from a whole concept of we don't really brag, we don't show off what we do. We just look to help people as much as we can, and I think that's kind of how my audience kind of grew on this platform, was just telling people what it was we did, and then kind of our learnings along the way. Implementing a load of different strategies, which I'm sure I can cover throughout this live here with you, mate. But really, my journey was Airbnb, then realised that I had a bit of a knack of growing people's followings and then being able to monetize it at the back end. Even if people don't have businesses, products or services, we can create them depending on what their experiences are. And from there, you just work with them, understand what content it is they need to put out to be able to gain the traction. And yeah, it's just been a load of good fun over the last couple of years, mate, to be fair.
Well, listen, by the way, guys, if you haven't got your notepads out tonight really very much is a night to be taking notes. And if you wonder where my head's going when Chris is talking, I'm not being rude. I'm making notes on what he's talking about already. And bear in mind that that I implement a lot of this stuff myself, and I already, I've seen a lot of Chris's content, so I know what he's going to say. The fact I'm already taking notes means that you guys definitely should be. But before you get into it, Chris, I just want to actually talk about three things that you've said there, because I think the three important things, and also they cover some of the questions that people have been asking. I mean, you talked about the fact that your initial Instagram posts were really starting about documenting your journey. Mm-hmm. And quite a few people have been messaging today saying that they don't know what content to put out there and they struggle for content ideas. And I'm sure we'll come on to talk about that more later on. But the first thing to say to anyone is if you've got no ideas whatsoever of content to create, then just document. Mm-hmm. Because if you've got nothing to document, then jump off this live now, because you've got no fucking business, you've got no life rather. I mean, just documenting your story, no matter how boring you think that may be, is a fantastic place to start. And not only to start, but I think documenting your journey needs to be really part of your ongoing social media strategy anyway. And that can be how you're getting from A to B. That can be what's going on behind the scenes. And more, I think for me, more importantly than your successes, almost your failures as well. People want to see that vulnerable side of you. People want to see the reality. They don't want to see the rented Lamborghinis and all the bullshit that goes with that. So I think definitely documenting your journey is a fantastic place to start. Also, you were talking about the fact that a lot of the strategies you use apply to multiple social media platforms, but obviously we're specifically going to talk about Insta here, and that very much made me think about the fact that what the big thing people miss out on is looking at behaving online in a special way. Like, how do I do this on Insta? Or I don't know how to behave with this person. And again, my simplest piece of advice is whatever you do offline, you just need to do it online. Now if that's as simple as replying to a comment or replying to a DM, I was having this conversation or having an email with someone the other day when we talk about the fact that if someone walked up to you in the street and said, "Hey Matt, I liked your video on Instagram last night," what would you do? You'd turn around and go, "Oh, thank you, buddy. Thank you very much." You'd probably engage in a bit of chat, and you'd certainly be appreciative and respectful of the comment. So when someone sends you a comment on your Instagram, or when someone sends you a DM, etc., why the fuck are all you guys, or why are you pulling a face saying that that guy who doesn't even know me or that girl who doesn't even know me sent me a message? That's weird. Well, that's what you're on here for. You're creating content to get yourselves noticed. So start to engage with these people. So however you would behave offline, you should behave online in that manner. I think that's a very simple, easy thing to do. And the final thing is, you were talking about that you've never come across a business yet that can't succeed on Instagram or can't be monetized on Instagram. I think even for people who don't have a business yet, who maybe want to be an entrepreneur or who are employed, still all these principles still apply to you, because you need to monetize yourself. And whether that's giving yourself credibility or whether that's giving yourself connections or whatever, making you more valuable as an individual. So anyway, back over to you, buddy. I'm taking your.
No, mate, makes total sense. It's the sort of stuff that we talk about like all the time. Like offline networking is, although difficult, like in the moments we're in right now, with obviously this whole pandemic that's going on, getting out and about is not advised. But being able to maximize the online opportunity that you have, it should be treated in exactly the same way. And that's exactly how we treat it. Like we're sending 50 to 60 different introduction messages a day across the account, literally just on my account alone, just trying to connect with people, find out what it is that they do, find out how it is that we may be able to help them, coming from a place, again, just providing value. Because every single bit of content that we put out, every bit of engagement that we generate, every bit of communication that we have in a direct message is all building relationships with people. It's all building authority. And especially when you're looking in the expert space, which I spend a lot of time in, it's the be all and end all of online networking and online authority. It's just positioning. That's all we're talking about here. It's just getting and gaining the attention that it is that you want it for. Because But we're coming up to, I think the latest stats, like we've got like nearly 2 billion people across this whole platform logging in every single month. So we're like hitting Facebook numbers in terms of the way that we're growing. And all we're using social media for is traffic and attention, the two main things. So for people to say that Instagram doesn't work for this business, it doesn't work for this, it doesn't work for that, it's total bollocks, because people are on this platform. All you've got to do is think of an angle of a way of being able to grab their attention. And that comes from all different types of things, from content that you put out, from how often your account name is showing up in their profile, through to how many lives that you go on in a week. There's all these different things that all add up, but ultimately all we're fighting for is people's attention on the other side of that phone. Now, we'll probably have anything between 100 to 150 people tune in and out of this live this evening. That's all attention on both yours and my profile, which is generating traffic. 50% of those people will probably click onto the other person's username, depending on who they're following at the time. Now, if you've got your profile set up in the right way, you're enabling to grab their attention. Your ultimate aim is to give them a reason to follow you. And that's all we're looking to do, is just traffic back and forth all over the place. And for me, you can just gain enough attention. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, what niche you work in, what it is that you're currently doing right now. You've got the opportunity to be able to generate a financial return at the back end of it.
What I'd say as well on that is, when people say to me, "Oh, Instagram is not giving me success, or it doesn't work," or to us, whatever platform that may be, I think my immediate thought will be, you don't spend enough time on it. You don't put enough time into this channel for it to be successful for you. And the analogy that I always give, when people say, well, how what kind of success levels do you get from social? For me, it's the same as what kind of success levels do you get from any advertising channel, from any media channel. What happens is people go, oh, I don't know, ABC influencer is on social and they do a post and they earn all this money. I better do it too. So they put a post out and they get they get nothing off it, and then that is their answer to the fact that Instagram's shit. But for me, the analogy is it's the same on any channel. If you said is radio advertising any good? Well, it's good, but it's not good if you do 1 20-second jingle once ever. Is billboard advertising any good? Well, it is, but not if you take one billboard on one street corner, for one day. Whatever channels you're in, you need to put so much resource into that. Whether that's money, whether that's time, whether that's effort, whatever. But none of these platforms are going to give you a return on your investment if you're not putting any investment in there. And like you talk about this live that let's say hopefully 150 people whatever I'll dip in and out of. I mean, today alone, you and I will have put an hour into an Instagram live. We'll have created our content for our story. We'll have created our content for our main feed, and that's that's just a day. That's hour and 10 minutes, hour and 15 minutes of the day spent just on Insta. And any of these channels, you only get. I mean, it's a cliche, but you only get out what you put in. And I think for me, the people who claim to not be having success in any of these channels, particularly Twitter. Twitter's a fantastic one where people go, well, it doesn't work. Well, that's a much harder one to get traction on. But I mean, that is one that of course, putting a tweet out there that's got the half-life of about 30 minutes, and no shit, it doesn't work. And again, which brings me on to a comment that one of the questions someone had said for you is, how do I find the time to do social media? Look, we just gave an example then of the fact that you and I'll have spent an hour and 15 minutes on it today. But if you take this live out of it, you can be doing your social in 5 to 10 minutes a day in terms of creating your posts. But I think when people complain that they haven't got enough time, they're only talking about their posts. I mean, they're not talking about not even thinking about DMing people, finding relevant contacts, etc. But even if you do, I mean, I always say I do my Instagram post on the toilet, which I do. I do my morning poo, and I bash out my post for the day. If I want to contact people, I'll do it when I'm watching telly or when I'm stuck on hold on the phone or something. Now, look, I'm not advocating that as a strategy for you guys. That's where you should put your time, but it's certainly a way to find time for starters. So. I can't believe any one of you guys watching this doesn't do a poo. So that is the start of where you find your time for Insta.
Right, mate, 100%. Like, I think to answer that question, like for me, it's like having daily habits with your social media, like especially when you're using it from a business sense. It's actually probably going to take up 70% of your whole marketing time right now, because the whole way that you used to market, everyone's attention now, especially in lockdown, is just scrolling through these social channels, literally absorbing content. So I saw a post actually, it must have been about 12 months ago, and it really hit home with me of this whole concept is you either take on and watch content, you're a consumer of it, or you're a producer. And however way and whatever sort of benefits you want to get, being a producer is always going to be a much better use of your time than simply just absorbing it. So I used to literally spend like my whole social media time, especially on Instagram, and where I teach it, is you should be spending no longer on 15 to 20 minutes a day, as long as it's focused and streamlined to building your account, engaging with people, communicating with people. You can grow your account considerably. You can build enough authority to then monetize within a very quick time frame if you are focused on the certain daily habits that we talk about. So to break those down for you, it's really simple ones that we do. So we look to connect, as we said, with 50 to 60 people a day. Now, that can be a mixture of different ways. So number one is obviously going and following them. So if there's anybody that we see that seems to fit our target market, now you've got to know who your avatar is and who your actual client base is to be able to find them in the first place. But you can use...
Just to interrupt you there, but just for any of you guys listening, by avatar, Chris means, Chris means the stereotype of your ideal customer. So, so before you go out there looking, I mean, this isn't just about going, oh, I like The Rock, so I'll follow The Rock, or I like Pamela Anderson, so I'll follow Pamela Anderson. You need, before you start, maybe, yeah. But before you start doing this, you actually need to know what your customer looks like. Is it male? Is it female? Is it old, young? Someone who lives in the UK, somebody who's international. Because otherwise, you're going to be wasting your energy on the kind of people that you're connecting with. So go on, back over to you, Paul.
Yeah, no, 100% true. So identifying your target market, and then your niche and focus of your account are the two first steps to any social media strategy that you start to actually create. Now, what you then look to do, like we were saying, is connect with 50 to 60 different of those sorts of people directly on Instagram. So either following, commenting, liking, sending a direct message to introduce yourself. We would look to have those sorts of conversations, like I say, across the day. But again, total time, because obviously you're going to get into conversations with people and you've got to be willing to communicate and network. For me, like if you're looking to grow your business, like I was when I first started in the property industry, we were going to 2 networking events like a week. So we were spending a good 4 hours like in meeting people, shaking people's hands, looking to try and find out what it is that they did. Just simply looking to build relationships. Now, we don't have to spend that time traveling to those networking events anymore. We don't have to spend the time in the room having the pointless conversations. With social media and with Instagram as well, with the way that direct messaging works, we can have unique conversations with people very, very easily, very, very targeted, and actually be able to help and solve a problem almost instantly for somebody. Now, if you can solve a problem instantly, you're automatically going to get that connection that you're not going to get by having one quick 10-minute conversation at a networking meeting. So leveraging social media right now is the most powerful way to be able to build your connections up. But just by spending 15 minutes a day, direct messaging, following, commenting on people's stuff, getting your profile name in front of other people is the surefire way to grow your account, but also to then position yourself as the authority in whatever niche or focus you decide to go into.
Let me ask you 2 specific questions on what you were just saying. So you talk about following, commenting, and liking as part of your methods of daily connection. Is there an ideal split between those? Like, should you be DMing so many, liking so many, commenting on so many? That's question number 1. And question number 2 is, after you follow these people, if there becomes a point, whatever you decide your time frame you're happy to work with, but if there becomes a point that they don't respond back with you, are you then unfollowing them to then start to follow more people, or do you just leave them there for the long haul anyway?
So yeah, in terms of volume, again, we are probably, well, on average, we are following 50 people per day and sending an introduction message to anybody that follows us back, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So if we don't get out, sorry.
Can you automate that follow back message?
You can, but I wouldn't recommend it right now, purely because the way that Instagram's detecting third-party integrations now, it's basically just blocking it and stopping it. So we're doing it manual. I mean, I do voice notes really, really quick and easy. So like, I can see that 10 people have followed me like within the last hour. Okay, 10 voice notes quickly go out of, hey, whatever the name is, amazing to connect. What is it you do? Whereabouts are you based? Like simple communication that we're looking to do.
You follow them back as well, just because they followed you, or
that depends on if their profile captures my attention or not. If they're putting out content that really does grab me and wants me, and actually I'm interested in it, then of course I'm going to follow them back. But if it is just me looking at it as you're a potential client that I know I can help, as long as I'm getting that direct message communication, then I'm all good. Like that's all that really matters. So again, like, commenting, I would literally just look to try and leave 10 meaningful comments a day just on someone's post, which is either in an ideal hashtag of mine or an account that I've been actually targeting for a little while. So I've seen them and I've been following them. So that's in terms of the volume of how often that we do it. In terms of the way that we unfollow, I very much treat it in the same way that I would if I was meeting someone in person. So if I've had someone that I've reached out to, followed, commented on, liked a couple of their photos, tried to grab their attention and say, look, hey, who are you? What do you do? If that person was then going to ignore me and not respond, I mean, online, you've got to give them a little bit more leniency than the day. But let's be honest, if we were doing that in a one-on-one meeting where we were meeting someone fresh and they totally ignored us, we'd turn around, call them a twat and never speak to them again. But online, we give them a little bit more leniency, right? So I normally have like a 30-day period where if they've not responded to me, they're not engaging with me, I'm kind of taking it that they're not either using the platform or they're just not interested in connecting, which for me, they're the two reasons why I just disengage and not look to contact them again. So again, with the way that we follow people, there's different tools that you can use to be able to track who you followed and who you haven't. Again, you've got to be careful with the way that you use them. But again, what we've really got to try and do is just gain as much attention as we possibly can.
Okay. And it's interesting what you said again, because it takes us back to what we said at the beginning. You know, when I asked you when you would unfollow them, your answer was, well, what would you do in real life? You know, if they didn't engage with you, then you would turn around and not talk again. And I'm sure that this is going to be applied to pretty much absolutely everything we talk about tonight. That, you know, what's the answer to this? Well, what would you do in real life? How should I behave then? Well, how should you behave in real life? And if you take nothing more away from this tonight, you guys listening, it is, if you've got a question, just answer it yourself by what would you do in real life?
Yeah, 100%, totally agree. And again, the consistency of it's what makes the biggest difference to me. Like, I'm not looking, like I think you mentioned at the beginning, is I don't have 1 million followers on my account. I follow a concept which when I first started learning about marketing, online marketing, relationship building, being able to monetize and convert followers to customers. There was a book read by, I think it was by Pat Flynn, and it's called 1,000 True Fans. It's a re-analogy of a different book which was written ages ago. But I kind of took that concept and realized that I don't need 1 million followers. I just need a small group of people that I can help, that are going to be able to give me the financial freedom that I really need to be able to live the life that I truly want to live. And again, having that concept of, I don't care if I hit 15,000, 20,000 people on a post and not one of them gives a shit about what I post. But if I can affect just one person, that bit of content has done its job. And that's how my whole social media plan is designed. We target certain micro niches in industries that we know we can help. And we talk to it like I'm posting directly to you. And again, there will be multiple different versions of people that are in your position. And I know that if I can hit you, I'm probably going to hit them as well. But again, if people don't take any interest, I don't care. As long as I can affect one person, I'm doing my job.
And guys listening, just I know this has gone off at a bit of a tangent from the instant, but what Chris was just talking about, the 1,000 true fans. I mean, it's really a concept and a mathematical equation that even before you start thinking about your marketing strategies, you should all apply to your business plan, because it will completely change the way that you market, interact, and run your business as a whole, really. And basically, what the theory is, what the analogy is you kind of need to work out how much would you like to earn from your business. And I think in the example it used to talk about saying, if you wanted to earn £100,000 a year, what do you need for that? Well, you need 1,000 true fans who will all spend £100 a year with you. And by true fan, what the meaning is, someone who kind of lives and breathes your content, or loves your output. So if you're a musician, it's not about needing to be a famous musician. It's just needing to have 1,000 people who will all spend £100 a year with you, which could mean every time you bring out an album, every time you play in a coffee shop, every time you do a special release of something, or you do a live, they want to be there. And you can simply just take, I mean, this may sound oversimplistic, but it really is so important to get your head around, that you just then flex that up and down accordingly. And depending on the product price, or depending on the price of your product or your overall aspirations, you just flex it accordingly. So if your product was £100 product and you want to earn £200,000 a year, then you need 2,000 true fans. If you're going to be happy earning 30 grand a year and your product's a £300 product, then you only need 100 people. You only need 100 true fans. And I think if you can get your head around that concept before you go and do anything else thereafter, it will completely change your marketing strategy and actually change your perception of everything. Because no longer will you be looking at vanity metrics. No longer will you be desperate to get 100,000 followers and tens of thousands of likes. You will just realize you just need to connect with the few people that you need to connect with to give you money.
Yeah, 100% agree. Couldn't agree more with it. And again, that whole concept was a complete game changer for me, because I won't lie, I think I'm like everybody in this respect. Is when you first start, you want that huge amount of engagement. You want to be loved. You want everybody to be commenting, piling in. You want that 1 million follower mark. That's like the dream. But actually, when you look into the detail of it and start to actually work out the numbers behind having the amount of money that you want to live, again, that's what we focus on, is monetization. It's not building a massive multi-million a person account. It is literally just looking at who can we help, who's going to be interested in what we've got to talk about. And again, as long as we can keep that core hub of people and keep delivering value over and over and over again, we know that we're really going to be able to succeed and do the job that we're looking to intend to do. And for me, whether it was property, marketing, Instagram, whatever it is, I make sure that I'm just trying to give as much value as I can. One, to build my own authority up, to position myself, but also coming from the fact that I know that if I help people, I'm almost wanting to make them feel guilty for them not wanting to work with me. And that's the sort of way and position I've always come across with any of my content. I've never held anything back. Just give it all out. And trust me, it's a weird thing, but business then comes back your other way. It's really powerful.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that, I guess I really only got my head around quite later on in life, or I think it's really a concept that probably many people have only started to, think about now. There's so much availability of content on the internet, and the reality is that if you hold something back, then your audience will just go and get it from someone else for free anyway, because in today's world, everything is out. On a generic level, everything is out there for free. Whether it's on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or just going on Google, Wikipedia, etc. And you almost get to the point of thinking, well, why does anyone ever want to pay for your content? Well, they want to pay for your time, I guess, because they want that one-on-one FaceTime with you. They want things to be specifically targeted to them as a business. I think it's the same when I talk. If I do a live, or if I put a YouTube video out there, the content that I give, it's not I'm not holding anything back. I'm not keeping any trade secrets back where I'm saying, oh, but you need to pay me for this last bit. If you're a business owner and you want to go back and watch through all my videos or read all my blogs, etc., you can assimilate my viewpoints, and you can sit down and do the donkey work and apply it to your business if that's what you want to do. But the reason someone would then want to pay me to hire me one-on-one is because they want me to talk to them specifically about their business. They want my generic ideas and my input honed down into a specific problem that they're suffering from. And it's the same with this tonight. The kind of stuff we're talking about, like you say, you're holding nothing back. There's no secret bits that you're going to ask someone to pay for. But the question is, do people want to go and do it themselves, or do people not have the time, or do people want to delve deeper? So I think you're 100% right in what you say. Don't worry about holding anything back. Just give everything. Bear yourself.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I even look at flipping all the different things that are being taught. The education world's mad when it comes to this sort of thing, because we're all saying the same information. Nothing's really new. There's the odd bit of content that you see that comes out and you think, oh, I've not seen that before, I've not heard that message before. But actually, the things that normally people buy into are, one, the way that you deliver it. So the way that you explain things, if you explain things and make things sound simpler than what they've heard it before, you've automatically got their attention. They'll keep coming back. That's the one thing that I've realised, is that the more easier way that I really break things down and make things sound simple, like hashtags, for instance, right? Everyone thinks they're the most complicated thing in the world. But the way that I explain them and actually teach them made them easy to understand and actually easy to apply. So when it comes to then people looking for more Instagram content, they come back because I explain the most complicated thing about the platform in such a simple manner. So everything else then becomes easy. And I even look at like the masters of the flipping education space, like a Tony Robbins. Like, people buy into him because of his personality, his energy, the way that he explains things. And because he's been able to gain that much attention because of the way that he delivers, he's the number one person in the personal development space. You look at all the most successful people there are out there, the number one thing they're able to do is communicate and break things down and make things sound very, very simple so everyone goes and applies it. The person that delivers the most value gains the most attention for me. And it's just about understanding that concept when you're creating any bit of content out there right now at the moment.
Well, look, you talked about making something seemingly complex like hashtags very simple. So I guess that's a nice segue into talking about making seemingly complex like hashtags very simple. A lot of the people who've asked questions today have asked questions about hashtags. How many should you use? How do you pick the right hashtags for you? How do you get your post seen on the features page? So over to you, buddy.
Yeah, it's a massive topic. I mean, when we train hashtags, it's like a good 2-hour session on its own. But I'll give you the full breakdown of how I guess, long story short it. Hashtags, for those of you that don't know, I like to explain them in a way they're very much like a index in a back of a non-fiction book. So let's say you're looking for a certain topic in one of the encyclopedias that you've got sitting there rotting on your shelf at home. Now, if you wanted to find out a certain topic, you'd flick to the back, look down the index, and you'd see what page number that specific bit of information's on. Quite simply, it's a way to organize content. A hashtag is there so the social media platform of Instagram can sort and organize content so consumers like us can easily find content that we're going to be interested in. Now, the way that you apply them to your posts, quite simply, you can use a maximum of 30. And there's the only way to really explain it is the more that you have, the more traffic and the more exposure you're going to get. Now, there's lots of different theories out there as you should only use 5, you should use 10, 15, 25, or don't use 30, that's too many. But actually, when I've tested it, and I've tested this for the last 18 months on every single post that I put out on mine and my clients' accounts, the more hashtags that I've had, the more reach that I've gotten.
So in simple terms, do you think every post should have 30 hashtags? It's 30 to
That's what I'm doing right now. 30 hashtags on everything. And again, people think it looks spammy, but at the end of the day, they're there to be used. Instagram added that specific piece to the platform to be maximized and used to its optimum efficiency. And as long as it relates to the post and what it is that you're talking about in that content, it will travel in that hashtag and appear. So the algorithm and the way that it works.
Obviously, don't put hashtag hot gym bod on a piece of entrepreneurial content. You know.
Correct. Yeah, exactly that. So yeah, be really specific. So use the hashtags to describe what the picture's showing, what the video contains, what the caption is talking about. And that right combination with the hashtag, we're going to label it then to be able to travel and actually generate the kind of thing that we're there to use them for, and that's generate more attention to our account.
So Helen's just asked that she sees people putting these in the comment section as opposed to on the post itself. You know, does it make any difference?
Has no difference whatsoever. People just normally, the reason they do it is one, because they think it looks spammy having it in the bottom of their caption, or they are automatically posting they've linked their Instagram account with their Facebook account. So what they don't want is hashtags to appear on their Facebook content. So they put it in the comments afterwards to actually separate them both. When they're using scheduling software, like you can use Buffer, for instance, a cheap scheduling tool. Now we use that in our agency with what we do, but they actually have a first comment section. So you can automatically get your comment to go live at the same time that you post. And for me, the only thing that people need to be clear about is if you are putting the hashtags in the comment and you are manually posting, you need to try and get it as quickly as you possibly can, because the time that it takes normally for you to post your content, then add the comment, then paste your hashtags in, is normally of a delay of around about 10 seconds. Now, if you're using big hashtags like entrepreneur, business, holiday, travel, that 10-second window is the difference of being seen in a hashtag and being lost, because the amount of volume and traffic that goes in there, it will disappear. It will completely be swallowed up. So if you're going to be putting them in the comments, I'll always recommend to just use a bit of scheduling software to get it going in there instantly at the same time. Otherwise, there is no harm with having it in your caption in the first place.
A couple more hashtag questions then. So if you're going with 30 at the moment, of those 30, do you have, say, 25, for example, that are whether this is you or your client, right? Do you have like 25 which are the same ones you use on every single post, and then maybe like 5 which are specific to that post itself?
No, so we change them every time. Every time with the way that we work it, purely because if you're copy and pasting the same amount of hashtags, I can't give you the exact amount, but normally after around about 5 uses of the same hashtags, Instagram's algorithm will shadow ban that hashtag. Okay. So they'll stop your post from appearing. So what you'll normally find is, let's say you choose a set of hashtags, a set of 30 hashtags, which you're going to apply to your next 5 posts. You will notice that post 1 does well, really well. Post 2 does slightly better, depending on, let's say we're posting the exact same bit of content. You'll then see post 2 do okay, 3 a little bit worse, 4 a little bit worse, 5 a little bit worse. And again, the engagement will decrease. That is because the algorithm is actually making that hashtag less effective, because they don't want you spamming the same hashtags. Because even though you'll be talking about the same topics, there'll be specific angles in your content which actually make that bit of content unique. And what Instagram want you to do is be really, really specific with your hashtagging. They want it to be as crystal clear and specific as possible. So it makes the platform more engageable when people are searching for different bits of content through their hashtags.
And tell me, how do you select your hashtags in terms of reach? I mean, obviously lots of people have lots of different theories. And I guess, one I've been working to lately, for example, is almost like splitting my hashtags 50-50 between more generic ones with massive reach, which which would give me a good chance of sorry, which if they did get seen would give me massive reach, but the likelihood of being seen. So like hashtag entrepreneur, you know, the chance of me popping up on entrepreneur would be next to none because it'll be 20 million or something. But if I did get seen, then it'd be amazing reach for me. Then at the other side of that, let's say hashtag leads entrepreneur, which there's 50,000, you know, little chance of me being, little chance of it getting reach. But you know, I would be the key person in it, if that makes sense. So, how do you strike the balance?
Yeah, so we teach it very much in a pyramid format. So no matter how many hashtags that you use, obviously I'm saying to use 30 right now. 50% of those hashtags that we use, so 15 of them, will have a hashtag volume range, so the number of posts against a specific hashtag below 500,000. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So the majority of the hashtags that we want to use, the 25%, so the next 7.5-ish, will be underneath 1 million. So making sure that 22 out of those 30 hashtags are underneath 1 million posts in each specific one. Then what we want to do is, because if we do go viral and we do start to trend in the smaller hashtags, we do want the ability to be seen in the likes of entrepreneur, the likes of business. So we have a section of literally 7 or 8 hashtags, which are the bigger, broader ones. But what it enables us to do with the way that the algorithm works is, if we can gain traction in the smaller volume of hashtag, because we're spending longer in there, because the volume of posts is less than the larger ones, we can gain more traction. And the engagement we then get in those smaller hashtags enables us to build up our post engagement score to gain the actual credibility to trend in the higher hashtags like you were talking about there. So yeah, it's very much a pyramid which we're trying to work up with our hashtag allocation.
When would you look to go back to some of the ones you've already used? So like you were saying, like don't use one more than 5 times, but I mean there's going to have to be a point where start to go back. When's it acceptable to go back to that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing really is to try and avoid the copy and paste. That's the easiest way to do it. And looking at your post, I mean, there's normally, when you're putting a bit of content out there, there's normally one specific thing that you're trying to talk about more than anything else. So for me, everyone thinks that I talk about Instagram tips, for instance, but actually one post could be about account growth. Another one could be about how many pieces of content do I put out there, or how many hashtags do I allocate. Now, what I'm trying to do actually in terms of how do I find my hashtags, which I think is the kind of question that you're asking there, is I will look at this and understand first, number one, what is it that I'm trying to talk about? What's the message that I'm trying to deliver with this bit of content? Now, if that's account growth, I will go into the Instagram search bar and I will go Instagram account growth tips. So I'll go really, really specific. Now, I'll see what's currently trending in the top 9 posts of that hashtag right now. And to put it really, really simply, if they're trending in there, it normally means, because that hashtag's literally normally around about, that one's got like 400,000 posts on it. If it's trending in there, it means that they've got the right hashtag proportion to be able for us to then trend in all the other hashtags that we allocate. So if you want a shortcut to do it, look at the one thing that you want to talk about, go and find a post that's trending, and simply copy the hashtags that they've used and put them into yours.
Okay, so to be clear, right, we're talking about high-heeled shoes, right? Mm-hmm. So we go on a high-heeled shoes hashtag. That's point 1. That then brings us the most trending post. We go and look at that post, and then on that post there'll be hopefully 30 hashtags, which could be whatever. And then we literally copy and paste those other 29 hashtags, and that is the perfect.
That's the simplest way that I teach it right now. There's complex ways with systems that you can use to be able to identify them. Like, I won't lie, like on our hire package of our agency, we do that. We do detailed hashtag research. But when we're looking at the most time efficient way to do this, that is the quickest, the easiest, and actually very, very effective way to be able to trend in hashtags. Look at what's trending, look at their hashtag allocation, and use and test theirs. That's the way that I've always been teaching it over the last couple of months.
So one of the questions someone asked earlier was how do you actually get to appear in the featured section? Is that just the luck of the draw by keep batting with the hashtags, just keep batting and batting, and hopefully you hit a home run and end up in the featured section?
I mean, in simple terms, yes, but there's different tactics that you can use to be able to work your way up the algorithm. So when you post, your post will automatically go live to the 8% of your online audience at that point. That's the Instagram stat. So it automatically releases it to the 8% of your top online audience right there.
What is your top audience? What does that mean?
So the audience that are engaging the most on your content right now. So you can imagine there'll be certain people that like and comment on everything. So the way that the data is stored is actually we can see that person there is really enjoying their bit of content. So when this person posts, we're going to make sure that bit of content shows in their profile. You will notice that if someone's an active user and you engage on their content, you will actually start to see more and more of their content. You'll be suddenly realizing, I can't actually get rid of this person. Why are they just showing everywhere? It's because every time that they post, if you're in their top 8%, you will see everything that goes out. And go on.
I was going to say, so that's for your top 8, but in a way, it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy. How do you get in front of the other 92% of people, the ones that ultimately probably matter to you more, because the other, if they don't like you, they like you anywhere, and they're going to see you time and time again. How do you start hitting the people that aren't seeing you enough?
So that comes from engagement. So the way the algorithm will work is, you've ever heard the concept of the first 1 to 2 hours that you post is the most important, right? Now that's come from the way that the algorithm works and the way that it shows content. Now, if you do not get the engagement or the traction within that first hour, so from that initial 8% of your top fans, put it this way, so if your top fans aren't engaging with it, they'll look at it and they go, probably not the bit of content that we're going to share elsewhere, so we'll just cut it dead. So you will see poor performing posts out there, which you think about, you're like, why is this not gone anywhere? Why is no one liking on it? It's because they haven't got enough of the initial traction right at the beginning, so it's just cut it off. Now, if you do get that initial traction, it will then start to open it up to more and more people. So again, it'll open it up to another 8% and another 8% and another 8% until suddenly it cuts it off and goes, okay, no more engagement, that will do, post something new. Now, the tactic to be able to get yourself trending more often than not is to have a group of people. We call them like engagement pods. So we have groups of people, like let's say me and you, we're going to say to each other, every time that we post, I'm going to like, I'm going to comment, I'm going to save, and I'm going to share your post to my story. So I'm going to engage on it. So I'm going to give you the engagement that you need to get that initial traction. I'm also going to share it so all my audience then see it. What that does is it opens up the window for more people to see your content and build your post engagement score. So what we're doing is telling Instagram that people deserve to see this content. Now, one person isn't going to make a difference, but if you're in a group of, say, 10, 20, 30 people, they're all hungry, all doing it, all working together, you can actually start to trick the algorithm and actually use the algorithm to your advantage. So every post that you do, you're getting that instant engagement that you need to start trending in the lower hashtags. And once you then trend in the lower hashtags, if you've staged the strategy correctly, you'll then earn the credibility to work your way up. And then you'll start to actually manipulate the algorithm to actually get more people seeing your content on a daily basis.
Listen, I'm conscious that we could probably talk for 24 hours about we've been here an hour already, and I'm sure you've got things to do, and I want to get some dinner at some point. But I want to jump in on a couple of other bits. Let's move on from let's say main feed and hashtags and stuff. And just before we wrap up, let's just give a little bit of time to IGTV and to Instagram stories, because one particular person asked if they should concentrate more time on IGTV or on stories. I mean, let's say my non-expert, but regular user view would be you need to concentrate as much time as possible to all these different things, because whatever platform you're on, what a platform ultimately wants is someone to be using its features. So you're going to be rewarded, in algorithm terms, the more you use all these different things. So if you go on IGTV, if you go on stories, if when you're on stories you tag people, if when you're on stories you do do stickers and all that stuff, every single bit of use of a platform, gives you another tick in the platform box, would be my simplistic layman's comment on that. So I presume you agree. You're nodding a bit, so I presume you agree. But if you only had so much time, or if you had to put your time somewhere, what's your views on IGTV or stories?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a very opinionated view on both matters, actually, because I like to look at it and we do a lot of research on this, and I don't want to spend too much time on it because I've done like posts on this which last like 20 minutes of me just ranting about it. But with the way that we work it is, the average user of Instagram, with the testing that we've done, normally lasts between 45 seconds and 2 minutes each time they're on the platform. Nothing longer than that. So to be able to put in the time and effort on Instagram TV, I have done it. I have tested it. The reward wasn't particularly brilliant because, in my opinion, people don't spend long enough on Instagram to be able to watch an in-depth 5 to 10 minute video. If they wanted that, they'd be on YouTube. People come to Instagram normally for me in this kind of usage pattern, and you'll be able to tell me if this is right or wrong on your account, but you click onto the Instagram icon on your phone, you click through 4 or 5 stories, you'll then scroll through 3 to 4 bits of content, you'll then click into the direct message, see if you've got any messages, and then you'll come off. Now, unless something is really compelling and going to grab your attention, bearing in mind you have to watch the first minute of a video to then even be given the notification to click across to IGTV 9 times out of 10, I would actually be focusing my time on where people's initial attention goes. And that's right at the top of the screen at Instagram stories, where people are live. I would rather create 20 to 30 stories a day of little snippets of my life of what I'm doing than spend 15 minutes recording, editing, and then scheduling an Instagram TV video. Not that it isn't worth it, because if you've got the time and you've got a YouTube channel and you're repurposing content from one to the other, works brilliantly. I don't have a YouTube channel right now. I'm still building mine up. So I look to make my time as efficient as possible. So when I'm teaching it, I'm like, look, if you've only got a certain amount of time in a day, just focus on just getting that story content out there, because one, it's really, really easy to create. So there's no excuse for creating it. And two, if you do it like consistently throughout the day, so like one every hour, what you're enabling you to do is to get your emblem, your profile icon in people's screens every single hour. So you're grabbing their attention every time. Whereas with one Instagram TV video, you're only going to get it the once. With the story, you can get it 15, 20, 30 times a day, depending on how often you do, how consistent you are.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree with what you say. I mean, in terms of either my personal profile or my usage of Insta, I mean, I would only really watch somebody else's IGTV video if it was somebody I really, really follow. I mean, like I think of people I follow, like Brad Lee, for example. I mean, for whatever reason, you know Brad Lee.
I've seen his, but I follow him. Yeah, I do follow him.
I mean, for whatever reason, Brad's entire entire Insta is only IGTV. I don't know if you noticed that. He doesn't do normal posts. Literally every single post is an IGTV post. And look, I watch some of his stuff just because I'm a kind of an avid consumer of his content. I can't really think off the top of my head of anyone else's who I would watch. In terms of my own profile, I get very, very poor engagement on my IGTV stuff. But you mentioned it, repurposing my YouTube content. Because I already have the content out there that I do repurpose. I need posts to fill my feed with every day. 2 or 3 times a week, an IGTV post will form part of my strategy as a way of giving a clip of my YouTube, and hopefully to try and send people over there. I mean, I guess, I've been, let's say, unnaturally forcing engagement over the last few weeks because I've been doing competitions every day.
Yes.
And I guess, you talked about engagement groups. I mean, whatever ways people do it, if you can force that engagement. And I've been fortunate enough to be able to force it by doing the competitions, which obviously makes people jump on the post.
Great way to do it.
Comment. Well, guys, I've just learned something new, and that is there must be a 1 hour limit on a story. I don't know if Chris is still there. If he's going to come back. Hey, Tasha. Let's see if Chris, Larizia, Fridays, Karen, Chantel. I'm just waiting for Chris to jump back on this. I'm sure he'll come. Here's Chris. There he is. Chris, view.
There we go, mate. Don't know what happened there.
I've learned something new. There must be a 1 hour time limit on a live.
It does cut you off. I don't know whether it's a 1 hour. I think it just. I don't know whether my internet connection dropped or what, but.
I think mine literally cut off. It says your Instagram. It was as if it had normally ended. It says your Instagram live has ended, and we came on an hour ago, literally an hour ago. So that's.
I know Instagram went down like literally about 8 o'clock today. I did my first login to Twitter for 6 months just to see if Instagram was down, and so I think it's playing up today as well. To be fair.
You know what? I've been downloading all of these to upload on my YouTube, and because I'm now going to have to get the bloody recording software out again. But what we were talking about my IGTV. Callum, I know you were watching this, Callum, and you put a comment up that I wanted to read what it was. Can you put it up again? Because for anyone who doesn't know Callum, who was travel videographer on here, he's my cameraman, editor extraordinaire, the very lucky man who gets to look at faces and put dancing eggplants all over them. So he's got a very, very enviable role. But what were you saying about IGTV, mate? What Callum was saying, but no, we were just saying that. We were talking about engagement, weren't we? And that prior to my competitions, my IGTV, the post got terrible engagement, terrible number of. I mean, literally, I could do an IGTV post that gets 3 likes. I mean, literally 3 likes in a day. But I mean, again, that goes as well back to sometimes you just never know what content is going to trend well, which is why you've just got to keep putting more and more and more out there, and in a way almost not overthinking it. And I think that same concept applies to most platforms. So Sabrina's on there. Hello, Sabrina. Chris going red.
Awkward. But yeah, no, you're 100% right, mate. IGTV for me hasn't been the most successful, purely because I think, again, the average user's time of this platform, 45 seconds, 2 minutes, people just aren't spending the time on it to digest it, unless you've got those true fans that are willing to absorb everything that you do. Gary Vaynerchuk's one for that. It's probably the one that I spend the most time watching in terms of IGTV. If I do watch any of it on there, that's probably the person I go and watch. And again, just putting content out there is not our decision of what's going to trend and what won't. It's letting our audience decide and monitoring the results and keep doing what works and avoid what doesn't. It's quite simple.
Well, listen, I'm going to ask you one more question, and then we'll use Instagram's nudge as a chance to say it was time to wrap up. Although Callum says, I was saying, do people not use IGTV because it has the chance to reach people that don't follow you based on having similar content to what they're already watching? That's a question for you, Chris, I guess.
Again, it's all determined down to what the content is actually saying and how much attention you can grab with it. The thing with IGTV and the trick to it all, really, if you want to put your focus into it, is having that first 30 seconds to a minute clip which sits on your feed to end at a cliffhanger. You've got to leave it on the edge so people click and go across to the IGTV platform because they physically have to do it. It won't automatically take them there. So the biggest mistake that everyone seems to make with IGTV is that they'll do a 5-minute video and they'll just automatically post it onto their platform with the first minute going onto their feed. Now, what happens is after that first minute, people just scroll past and they're not interested. Whereas you leave that at a bit of a cliffhanger, like the best people do, you will find yourself subconsciously, automatically clicking over to Instagram TV to watch it. But if they'd have just left it and just kept the video going normally, you'd never get the click. So leaving that little end of that clip on a cliffhanger is what makes a difference.
I like that. I've not thought about that before. Callum, that's one for us to try tomorrow, buddy. That's a good... Well, listen, so my final question, which is something somebody else asked in the feed today, what should you be looking at as an acceptable amount of engagement? How many likes, how many comments? I mean, I guess that's almost like how long's a piece of string, but just something as a bit of a feeler for people getting started on here. What is a number that they should be happy with?
Yeah, I think the number's a difficult one, mainly because like the number of followers that you have and the actual level of engagement that you get. It's difficult to put a physical number of likes, comments, and saves against, but you can actually look at the analytics of your account, and we look at it as a whole account base. Like we look to try and target with any client that we work with is we want to try and get a 5% engagement rate. So that is the collection of likes, comments, saves, and shares versus the number of followers that we have. So we're looking for 5% of our audience or 5% of the Instagram audience to engage on our posts. Now, if I'll put a link in one your comment of where someone can go to be able to see that data. It's a website called Ninjalytics, but it shows you your actual engagement rate as a total, and you want to be aiming for anything between 3 and 6%. Now, the higher and the bit larger amount of followers that you have, the harder that is to keep up high. So what you really want to try and find is a really, really targeted audience that are really engaging on everything. That's where the number of followers is irrelevant if they're not engaging comes into play. But we look for around about 3 to 6% in that ratio as a good level of engagement across your whole account.
Well, I'm glad you said that because it gives me something to finish on, which is something I was going to mention at the beginning, which I think a lot of people either just getting started or who don't understand the metrics that they should be chasing. Look at the likes of their million follower Love Island people that they're a fan of and go, oh my God, that girl, she just got 50,000 likes, she got 60,000 likes on a picture. But if you apply what you're talking about there, what they're getting is 5% engagement, 6% engagement. And Miss X with 1 million followers getting 50,000 likes is no different to Joe Public with 200 followers getting 10 likes, getting 10 likes there. So I think it's quite an important thing for everyone to get their head around, and I'm glad you kind of said that to finish on, because like I say, I think a lot of people will find it very, very demoralising when they go, oh my God, I've got 4 likes on this, or I've only got a couple of followers. So I think if you guys take nothing more away from this than that, it's not about how many followers you've got, but it's about how you engage with them and how you monetize them. And if you can work on percentages rather than absolute numbers, and you can work on that 3 to 6% percentage, and not get carried away by the fact that Miss X off Love Island or Mr. Y off Towie has got such an absolute number of likes, then you'll be off to the races. David Bradley Ward, thanks for dropping on. You're always so late, mate. An hour and 10 minutes late. We are just about to wrap it up. But Chris, mate, you've been amazing. Thank you so much. And obviously, we've had some fantastic comments and loads of engagement from people tonight. I'm sure people could listen to you forever and ever. And as I said at the beginning, the best bit was I actually got to drink my wine while you were doing some talking. But we'll definitely have to do another one of these over lockdown. And I'm sure the guys are going to have some more questions. So fantastic,
Definitely.
Guys. Make sure you follow Chris. What's your handle? Give yourself a shout out.
ChrisTaylor.ig.
But yeah, ChrisTaylor.ig. But I think as well you'll be able to click on him somewhere here anyway. So give him a follow. Chris and I also did another masterclass over on my YouTube channel. So go on my YouTube channel, search for Chris. You'll see him on there. But definitely follow him. And guys, just before we wrap up, I just want to announce tonight's competition winner as well. which is actually a lady called Isabel Norman. I haven't seen her name pop up on here tonight, but she was on last night. She's a regular follower. She's a regular joiner of these lives, and she actually sent me a DM the other day saying, "When will I win?" Christ, you know what? That is all it took. Yeah, what's that book called? The Magic. You know, the all about the power of persuasion or the power of conversation. You obviously made my little machine want to send some money in your direction. So Isabel, DM me your PayPal details. £100 is winging its way to you. Everybody else, thank you very much for joining. Chris, thanks a lot, buddy. I'll catch up with you offline over the next 24 hours or so. But that's awesome, and I'll see everybody tomorrow.
See you soon. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, Chris. Thanks a lot again, buddy. Bye. Right, guys. Nighty night.